What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Man, it's a Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Whew, we're in January, right? We're all here for this mental health conversation, this chat. 383 days into 2020, how to cope. That's what we're here to find out, folks. And we got a panel. Man, these guys are ready. I was chatting with them before we went live. Man, they've got some tips, tricks, they got some hacks, mental health stuff. Man, we have to do better with our mental health. But what I want to say real quick as we start things off tonight is 57 Northampton. If you listen, if you're on this right now, you probably already know the value that they provide. You probably already are subscribed. You've liked their page on Facebook. You've subscribed on YouTube. But this is what I want you to do. I want you to give you an opportunity right now to share the stream, right? To share the stream, right? I'm saying it a third time, to share this stream. Repetition deepens the impression. Folks, share this. This is going to be a really cool conversation, great conversation, really good content for us to hear about. We want to make sure that we get enough eyeballs on this thing. So share. Start a watch party. Grab the link if you're on Facebook. Send it to a number of friends. You know you have that text group or whatever in WhatsApp or maybe Facebook Messenger, whatever you use. Go ahead and send it out. We want to get as many people as we can around this platform. So share the stream. 383 days into 2020. Now, some of you are like, wait a minute, that title, how's that work? And that's a play on words. I mean, it just feels like even though, yes, we flipped the page on a new year, the old year seems like it's just kind of chilling. It's still with us. It's kind of like just on our back a little bit. And so there's a lot of people who just feels like, man, it's just more of the same, right? And in this conversation, we're going to be talking about ways that we can cope, how we can be intentional about our mental health, how we can take this space seriously. Man, I have my co-host, and my co-host is on location with a number of people. He will be coming to us throughout the program today with some interviews. I want to kick it to him in just a second here, but he's going to be asking folks two questions. I want to put one of those questions up on the screen in just a second here because I want you guys to engage around these questions. Okay, so here's the first question that we got coming up is what are some ways you can take care of your mental health? That's the first question he's going to be asking folks. I see you in the comments, Raven. I see you, Kanik. I see you, Julian. Listen, if you're here, man, talk to us in the comments. I see your comments out there. We want to make sure we get your comments on screen as well. But listen, what are some ways you can take care of your mental health? That's the first question that Dre the drummer, my co-host, is going to be asking folks. But here's the second question he's going to ask them is this one. What are some healthy ways you can deal with stress? What are some healthy ways you can deal with stress? Those are the two questions. And as we get ready to kick it to him right now, I want you in the comments to start typing in your answers to those questions. And so that by the time we get back from the little break with my co-host Dre, then you will be ready. Your answers will already be there and I'll be able to engage with you. And we're going to have the moderator for our discussion. We're going to have her on screen with me when we get back from this thing right here. So Dre, I'm kicking it to you.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm back here. It's your boy, your host, Dre the Drummer here. And I got another guest that's just stopped by with me to answer a couple of questions about mental health. So check her out with these two questions. First off, introduce yourself. Tell everyone who you are.
Hi, my name is Janique Robinson. I am a therapist and the program director of Domestic Violence for Crisis Services of North Alabama.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Janique. Thank you so much for stopping by with me to answer these two questions. So let's go ahead and jump right in to these questions. Question number one, listen. What are some ways you take care of your mental health?
So for me personally, one of the best things that I do for my mental health is I actually go to therapy. Even though I'm a therapist, I have a therapist. And therapy really helps you be able to process things and, kind of talk about things in a non-judgmental setting so you can kind of get all of the emotions out of it and really learn about yourself and your patterns. And so that helps me to make better decisions so I'm keeping my mental health it's just like anything else, like you have to be preventative. Yes. Just like with your physical health, you exercise so you can be healthy. Mental health is the same way.
Awesome stuff. That was some really great notes. All right, here's our second question. what are some healthy ways that you deal with stress?
With stress. Okay. One of my favorite things to do is just zone out to music. I love music. I love
Music,
singing.
yes.
There actually is scientific proof that singing helps open up your vagus nerve, which is the nerve that helps you to be calm.
Oh,
So, singing, music, walking, those type of things really help me to de-stress.
awesome stuff, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it from her. All right, ladies and gentlemen, those are some great opportunities and some great keys that you should check out or maybe practice. All right, everyone, back to you.
Thank you, Dre. And look who we have on screen right now. We have Camila. Thank you so much for being here, Camila. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm just excited to be here. I think that this
Yeah.
is so awesome, so necessary right now. And so
This is a critical discussion, man. Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely.
Listen, one of the things that the lady that Dre was interviewing said is singing. She's like, singing calms her. That's me all day. I love to sing. So
Mhm.
I get it, man. You got to have these coping mechanisms. They're so important.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at our comments, Camila, and I don't see people typing in. They're not responding. They're not. I was hoping that we would just take some time right here to kind of just, go through our comments and see how people are answering those questions. So I'm going to ask our producer to go ahead and put those questions back up. Our first question was, let's see here. What are some ways you can take care of your mental health? This is what my co-host Dre is asking folks on location where he's at. And yeah, we apologize for some of the sound there, but hey, this is a unique conversation that we're having. We wanted to get those raw comments from people that are out there. So what are some of the ways? Talk to us. And I see Terrell Davis is asking. I see is saying some comments here. So let's bring up some of these comments on screen. Terrell Davis says skating helps me. I hear that. I like that. I like skating, man. Listen, I was talking to some I wanted to say some young folks, but I don't feel like I'm that old, Miss Camila. I don't feel like I'm that old. But I was talking to some younger folks, and they were telling me that the whole skating thing is back. I mean, I was like, for real? Like, yo, it's back. I mean, people doing the whole backwards skating and all that stuff.
It's back for somebody. It's not back for me.
It's not back for me. I can tell you. That's gonna stress me out more. That's gonna stress me out more. All right. Raven Fisher says that she loves to journal. I think that's so cool. I know my wife just got this really nice journal for the new year, and I think that is a really great practice to have. Let's see here. Nikita Turner says, I'm currently seeing a therapist and has been very helpful for me. That is, listen, this is one of the purposes of 57 Northampton. One of the purposes of this discussion is trying to get rid of that stigma around seeing a therapist. There is nothing wrong with seeing a therapist, fam. We need to get this help. And especially people that look like me and you, right? Camila, this is where we are right now. We want to make sure we get rid of that stuff. I see Terrell Davis is saying going to the gun range helps too. Now that one I could vibe with, being here in Alabama. We believe in that gun law, brother. Kim Thomas says communication.
I love the range here. They're like gun range, journaling.
It's all over the place.
We're all over the place, but I love it.
I love it. Yeah, this is good. Kanik says reading. Raven Fisher's back says, I find that therapy is immensely helpful as well. So you see, I want to make sure that message is, reverberated. If we communicate that strongly throughout this program today. Kim Thomas says talking with close friends. That's key. Sometimes those conversations can just be what they are. And it really can help to really truly de-stress. Nikita Turner has a comment here. Let me see if I can pull this one up. All right. So Nikita says, I also think having creative outlets help tremendously. Writing, painting, singing, etc. For me, my creative outlets are writing and jewelry making. Jewelry making. Okay. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Camila, where are you located?
So I have been living in Alabama for a very long time.
Right.
I just happened to have recently moved, and I'm back in California, which is where I'm originally from.
Okay. Back in Cali. Going back to I'm not going through my age now. I was going to sing another song, but I'm gonna leave.
It's a classic. It's okay.
It's a classic. Okay. Let me see. All right, we got Sylvia Barnes is on saying how how can I help struggling families with depression due to violence in the home? Okay, Sylvia, we're gonna listen. So I said Barnes, but it's Baines. Sylvia, one of the reasons why Camila is on the screen with me right now is because she's the moderator for our discussion. We've got a panel of folks that are going to be coming on in just a second. So we want you to hold this question, save it for later. And we're going to ask everybody that when we get the panel discussion going, they've got about 4 or 5 questions that they're going to go over, but we want you to put your questions in the chat, in the comments with a queue in front of them. That's going to help us to pick them out very quickly. So, but we want to get back to some of those. And I'm just going to read really quickly: volunteering time, helping others, a good jog. Malcolm Jesper says bike ride or working out. I love working out. That does help clear my head. Kim Thomas says self-care. Sylvia Baines says, again, praying helps. I absolutely believe in praying. Kim Thomas says Long Beach in the house. So we got some Cali people representing. That's what's up. And then Melanie says working out at Iron Tribe Fitness helps me de-stress and feel healthier. Iron Tribe is a monster. They've got some really good machines and some routines and some, classes that you can take. That's really cool. Thank you so much for engaging with us. Melanie says prayer and Bible devotions are so helpful. This is so cool. Camila, I know you guys have your questions, but just real quick before we kick it back to Dre the drummer, what are some ways that you help to de-stress, or some things that you do to help to take care of mental health?
Yeah, I think I'm with my, whoever said journaling. I'm with you.
Good.
I'm with you. I really like, especially if I'm like immediately feeling an emotion, I like to journal it while it's still raw, while I haven't had too much time to think about it.
Wow.
And then I like to come back to it later, after I've maybe thought through it just a bit. And depending on what it is, right? If it's anxiety, if it's sadness, if whatever it is, I can kind of come back to it and be like, hey, like, do you still feel this way? Like, and it just kind of helps me really get to the root of where some of my feelings are, and then we can heal from them instead of have them have power over us,
Wow. That's good. I mean, I know that what I'm about to share is not journaling, but it kind of sort of meshes. I was in a YouTube Clubhouse chat, which of course, if you're on Clubhouse, you know how addictive it is. I tried to just go on for 5 minutes, 5 hours later. Anyway, but I was on this chat and they were talking about YouTube being a form of journaling, because you post these videos regularly. I mean, if you want to really take YouTube seriously, you got to be posting at a minimum once a week. And so you get to see this progression. You get to see, inevitably in your videos, you're going to share some things that are going on with you. So you may make a comment like, oh yeah, we were doing this, we're doing that. And so my kids and I got a chance to kind of go back to some of my earlier videos and step through. And of course, we're looking at the progress of the technical stuff, but it was also really cool to listen to myself kind of work through some things and get back to that headspace of where I was when I created that video. And it's like, man, I've come a long way.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of marvels, the elevator's going up a few more floors higher. So that's what's up, man. So listen, we're going to kick it to Dre one more time. And after we kick it to Dre this time, when we get back, we're going to have the entire panel, and I'm going to take a second to introduce them and then let them free. Let's let them be free, let them loose, I should say, to be able to have their discussion, and we can continue to engage. But again, if you still have answers to the questions that Dre is asking these folks, it's the same 2 questions, but if you want to answer those questions, please engage with us in the comments. We want to hear from you. That's what this whole platform is about. And again, it's not too late. Share, and share again. We want to get as many eyeballs on this thing as we possibly can. So Dre, we're coming to you.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We back here again. Welcome back to another commercial break. I hope you guys have been getting some really great nuggets from our guest. I got another guest with me here, and he's going to give you some quick nuggets about how he handled his mental health and what he's done. Go ahead and introduce yourself,
My name
man.
is Marquise Green, singer-songwriter, performer out here in Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, we got a musician, y'all. Singer-songwriter. But here we go, man. Let's go ahead and dive into these questions real quick about your mental health. What are some ways you take care of your mental health?
For myself, it's mostly just praying, sitting with my family, talking openly with my family. That's something, I have kids, so that's something that I try to practice with them, is just tell me how you feel. You know what I mean? I think a lot of us, we tend to hold it in. And to be honest with you, like, I tend to do that from time to time. So it's like one of those inner battles with myself. But it's like just being able to talk honestly and openly with people that care about you and want your best. you know?
Right.
So that's probably the number 2 way other than me writing.
Hey, writing is really huge, man. Being a singer, that's really huge.
Yes, sir.
And then he said, talk about it openly. Don't keep that stuff in. Let it out. All right, here's our last question, man. What are some healthy ways that you deal with your stress?
Stress. I don't know how healthy it is. I tend to sleep.
Okay.
But the thing is that's once again something I have is that inner fight. So I have to stay busy.
Okay.
The busier I am, and the more that I tend to help other people. So it's like a lot of people kind of come to me as like that shoulder.
Yeah.
And so like if I can provide help to somebody, it lessens whatever I'm going through. It almost expands like my world. Instead of thinking I'm just singular, it's like being able to help somebody lets me know like, well, I have my own problems, but there's a bigger world out there. So my problems are kind of minimal in some areas, I'll just say it like that. So I mean, really just helping people and being with my family, like that's the best way that I know how to deal with my own stress.
Well, you got another nugget right there. Sometimes it's cool to just lend a helping hand. It gets your mind off of things sometimes. All right, there's our nuggets for you today. That's what he got for you. So maybe try it out. If it works for you, it works. If it don't, it don't. All right, everyone, back to you.
Thank you, Dre. We appreciate you out there on location, asking folks questions and getting really good feedback. I really thought, hey, sleep is not bad, right? I mean, sleep's not bad. It's not a bad way to deal with stress. What do you guys think?
One thing that he said, because he was like he tends to be somebody that's like really busy,
Right.
And so I think that sleep can be a really good thing for people who feel like they always got to go.
Right.
Being able to kind of let yourself take a break and remind yourself it's okay to take a break. I think that's a great coping skill.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Listen, we're already off to the races. I want to take a second to just have everybody introduce themselves. We're going to go counterclockwise around the digital room. We're going to start with Michelle, who was just speaking. Just tell the folks a little bit about who you are and how you come at this whole mental health conversation. And then we'll go to Sandra, and then we'll go to our moderator for the discussion, Camila.
Yeah, so my name is Michelle Butler Ozori. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I am practicing in California, born and raised, but I actually went to Oakwood University. So I lived in Huntsville for some time. So I know, Dre's in Huntsville right now and all that. And so I'm very familiar with that area as well, but I do practice in California. I am the founder of Holding Space Counseling Services. So I provide individual therapy and couples therapy to people in the state of California. Right now, due to the pandemic, it's telehealth only, and it's just been it's been a blessing just to be able to connect with people and kind of help them through a global pandemic. It's been definitely a stressful 383 days, and so 83. And so it's just been a blessing to be able to be somebody that can just be some type of anchor, help people find an anchor.
Nice. Folks, people have receipts here. Okay. She is a licensed. Okay. She said licensed. All right. So we're not giving you, what I think, you know how you get advice from your friend at the barbecue. Like, well, I think you should. No. We're giving you tried and true stuff here, folks, stuff that people pay for. And I want you to know who's made up this panel. So we're going to go to Sandra just a second, but I see Will has said in the comments, he has shared that his favorite stress reliever is listening to his favorite music, which is jazz. And Will, one of my favorite is jazz as well. So you'll find a kindred spirit here, man. But he also said old school hip hop. Will, I would change that to just say hip hop because ain't no more hip hop. I mean, I'm just let me leave y'all alone. Okay. And then he said R&B, laying back. That's what's up. So yeah, Will, I resonate with that. So Sandra, tell the folks a little bit about yourself, where you're located, and how do you approach this whole conversation of mental health?
Wow, it's really great to be here. And thank you for having me. Again, my name is Sandra Griffin. I am a licensed professional counselor here in the Huntsville, Madison County area. I have been in practice for over 15 years. I do have a private practice. It's called Changing Lanes Christian Wellness Ministries and Counseling Center. I predominantly counsel individuals starting from ages around 15, 16 and up. I do marriage counseling as well. Primarily, I enjoy dealing with people to help them come out of their situations. Oftentimes, we're not aware of what's going on the inside. So I like to do a lot of the inner work. Let's see what's going on in the inner world.
Mm,
You can find an avenue to be released from some of the things that you struggle with. So I kind of look at family of origin kinds of things. Where did I come from and how did I get here?
nice.
Answer some of those questions. And I see myself as a wounded healer. I'm on the journey with you. I'm not sitting back as if I got it all together. We're traveling this road together. And I am a graduate of Oakwood University as well. I graduated from Alabama A&M with a master's degree
Nice.
in counseling. And so I'm looking forward to tonight. This is really a great pleasure to be here with all of you.
Excellent, excellent. Camila, thank you so much for that reminder. She sent me a private message, y'all, and said we do have another guest, but they are on audio only. And Lynn, if you are there and if you're in a good spot that you can speak, would love for you to just chime in real quick and introduce yourself, even if you just take a brief second to do that. And if she can't, that's okay. But so we'll just
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay.
you're doing good.
Well, first I want to apologize for being late tonight. I had to leave town unexpectedly. And I still didn't want to miss this opportunity, even though I'm driving back home. So I just apologize for not being there live. But my name is Lynn Rucker, and I'm a licensed professional counselor. I have license in Kentucky, Alabama, and Florida. I started off working in Detroit. I'm originally from Detroit, and I started off working doing counseling in homes in the inner city of Detroit. From there, I worked in substance abuse, inpatient and outpatient substance abuse. I worked in emergency services for about 5 years, where I did emergency mental health evaluations. Right now, I also work in private practice. I started private practice about a year ago called Rise and Shine Counseling, and that's located in Alabama. And so that's just a quick synopsis of me and about me.
Amen.
What I do.
Thank you. Camila, the time is yours.
Yay. Yeah, I am so thankful. First of all, just for this opportunity. My name is Camila. I am the Director of Strategic Partnerships here at 57 Northampton. Some of you guys also, may know me. I also went to Oakwood University, so we have a lot of Oakwood in the house and some California in the house. I love it. I'm originally from San Francisco, which I feel very proud of because there's only 3 of us. I work in politics generally as a strategist, but I also got my degree in social work from Oakwood, and so I just have a very deep passion for conversations like these, for working with the community, for organizing, and I'm excited to jump into this conversation. Y'all ready?
Awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. So jumping kind of straight in, right? Our whole topic of discussion is 383 days into 2020, right? Because as we know, things have been tough, right? We've experienced quite a few sort of life-changing events as a globe, really, right? Something that we haven't seen, I think, on this scale. In addition to the things that we're facing as individuals, right? Like regular day-to-day life is still going on, your job stressors or the stressors of unemployment. We have people dealing with loss, all these sort of things. And so it's very easy to feel overwhelmed, and rightfully so, right? And so the first kind of question is, what advice do you have for folks who may be feeling overwhelmed during this time? And anybody can kind of jump in.
I guess I would say kind of like the first thing that comes to my mind is kind of like if you're feeling overwhelmed, I would I kind of come from a position of being able to kind of say like, that makes sense. Like, this is an overwhelming time. And so if you're feeling overwhelmed, reminding yourself that that's okay, that that's normal, that if you weren't feeling overwhelmed, then you're probably a superhero, and, you don't belong with us mere mortals, because there is so much going on from, civil unrest and racism and oppression, and political stuff happening. We're in a pandemic. People are experiencing economic hardships. People are experiencing grief and loss. And there is a lot of uncertainty. We're experiencing so much isolation, not being able to connect in the ways that how we've normally connected. And I think that all of these circumstances put together can be very traumatic. We're experiencing like a collective trauma right now. And I think approaching it from the place of how you would approach somebody who's experienced trauma is from a place of compassion, of allowing that person to kind of just be where they are and not put too much pressure on them to, get over it. Like, oh, get over it. No, you can't get over it. There's a lot of things that are out of our control, and it is very scary. It is very overwhelming. And so, yeah, I think the thing I would just tell people is that you're not alone. Like, I'm there with you. I'm sure Sandra is, and Camilla, everybody, we're all there together. This is global. Yeah. And so because of that, just being kind to yourself, and just knowing that you're not crazy. You're good.
Right.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I agree with Michelle on that. Just be kind and gentle to yourself. And then I would just add this acronym CARE to maybe kind of help. Sometimes it's helpful to have something that you can kind of look to. So sometimes with my clients, I use acronyms to help them to remember how to cope more effectively. And with CARE, the C represents consider. Consider how you feel. Oftentimes we are so overwhelmed that we don't take the time to actually sit down and say, what am I actually feeling? How am I feeling? What is this feeling? Am I angry? Am I sad? Am I hurt? Am I, happy? What is this feeling? And oftentimes we get so caught up with what's happening around us that we don't take the time to consider how we're feeling. Our feelings are important. They're not necessarily driving the vehicle, but we are to pay attention to them because there's messages that our feelings are trying to tell us something. And so we can pay attention to them. And the second one, A in CARE, represents act. Once I figure out how I feel, then maybe I can take an action. Do I need to, if I'm angry, do I need to talk to that person about how I'm feeling? Or even if we're looking at, oftentimes we're getting angry at what we're watching on television, all the stuff that's happening. I think Michelle has already mentioned the social unrest. And even just last week, we had the thing on January 6th where all that's happening at the Capitol. And that could have stirred up some feelings. What do I need to do about that? And so once I consider how I feel, then maybe I can take an action. Am I watching too much of media stuff? Do I need to back away from it because it's causing me to feel anxious? And then once I take an action, I can go to the next letter, which is R. I can reflect on it. What am I learning about, first of all, what I'm feeling? And then reflecting on my action. Did I take the right action? Is there something else I may need to do? And then finally, E is just ease into it. That's that gentle part that I think Michelle has already mentioned. After I consider, after I take an action, after I reflect, then I might be able to ease into how I'm going to handle this. And then I might have to make some changes after I consider, after I act, and then after I reflect on my situation. Just easing into it can make it a whole lot easier to kind of calm the waters with all those feelings of being overwhelmed.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's a beautiful acronym. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lynn, would you like to share? We have more questions also, so it is your choice.
And she hears.
Okay.
I can share. This is Lynn. I can share.
Oh, awesome. Yay.
Okay. And I just want to add that what you said about I feel like that is very realistic and something that's doable and practical that people can do. So that was an excellent example of what people can implement. What I would like to add to that is that, and can you all hear me okay? I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Okay. So I recommend, and this may or may not be difficult to do for some people, but I do recommend putting limits on social media and news consumption. Take a minute to think about how you feel when watching the news. It's usually not a good feeling. It's usually not a good feeling. And I actually worked in a newsroom before I went into mental health. I worked in a PR for 15 years. And I worked in a newsroom for about 2 years. And our motto was, if it bleeds, it leads. That was our motto. And so I used to monitor police and fire scanners. And if I heard something intriguing, I would tell the assignment editor. And he would immediately ask me, is someone dead? And so if not, he was not interested in covering the story. And so the information that we get from social media and the news is definitely increasing anxiety. You know, we can see that as counselors. We can see that in the patients that we serve. It's causing increased stress too, and increased feelings of a lot of dread and despair. And so this in turn can help disrupt our sleep, which impacts our mood, impacts our ability to concentrate and think clearly, and just have a negative impact on our overall health. So if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, consider setting boundaries, a personal boundary for yourself, by limiting time on social media and news consumption. And one last thing is definitely reach out for help. There's hundreds of thousands of professional counselors out here whose their sole job is to listen, to guide, to empower, and support you in time of need. And we'll work with you to develop a plan of action for helping you to reach your goals and improving your mental health.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, that was awesome, Lynn. Thank you so much. I know that it was breaking up just a bit, but I think that we caught so many gems within that. And you made a really, y'all, first of all, y'all are doing the hard work for me because I like the like you guys are segueing perfectly into the next question. But you made it a great point in terms of I think everything that each of you have said really ties into Lynn talking about the consumption of media, right? How much information we're receiving 24/7. And then Michelle, you had said, had used the word hero, which I thought was important because we've also been calling all these essential workers and healthcare workers and all these things heroes, right? And it almost sets an unrealistic expectation that you have for yourself, right? It's like, this is my duty. I have to be strong. I cannot break. The world needs me right now. And it makes, I think, very little room for self-compassion, for like, you know, like the guy said earlier about him, you know, going to sleep when we need rest, right? Rest is productive. And so that, and then Sandra, you had talked about really taking note of how you're feeling, which I think will go into our next question, because right now, especially in 2020, a lot of us have kind of like sort of been like stopped in our tracks, right? Like whether it's literally from like, you know, due to unemployment, you know, everybody's routines are sort of turned off or have halted or slowed down. And I think that we've gotten, we have more time now to consume media, right? To think about a lot of things that maybe we didn't have time to think about before. But also some of us may be experiencing new emotions that we may not have felt before, right? Like maybe this is the first time you're suffering from depression. Maybe this is your first experience with anxiety, right? There's just so much global uncertainty. And so that brings me to my next question, which is actually a question that my mother had that I am adding into this panel. So shout out to Robin. And she said, what are some signs of mental fatigue that you think that people should be aware of? And what would you suggest in terms of, you know, how to seek treatment, things like that. But what sort of things should we be aware of if this is our first time, experiencing these feelings?
Okay, I can start us off with that. You're saying mental fatigue. What are some signs of that?
Yes.
Okay, so I have there's this list of things that I kind of looked up, and it says low emotional resilience, feeling stressed or anxious, apathy, a feeling of not caring. Oftentimes we can feel that way when we're mentally exhausted and fatigued. Difficulty concentrating. I think that was already mentioned, difficulty concentrating. There's this feelings of helplessness and hopelessness. Then we can feel physically exhausted. Even though there's that mental fatigue, it shows up when we're feeling physically exhausted. And then there's sleep problems. We can either sleep too much, or we're not sleeping enough when we're mentally exhausted, because we may have these racing thoughts and feels like we cannot shut our brain off. And so we might find that. Then there's low motivation. Then there's feeling distracted and on edge. We can be very irritable, and not having a whole lot of patience. Memory difficulty. We already talked about difficulty concentrating. Some of us may even experience headaches. So there's the physical manifestations of the mental exhaustion. Then we might notice we might gain weight or lose weight. Some of us are calling it that pandemic weight. Some of us may have added that 15 pounds. Ooh, I can't. Ooh, Lord help us.
It's real.
I'm like, just 15?
The struggle is real, and then changes, of course, in our appetite. So those are just a few things that we actually can experience with mental fatigue. And during this time, it is exhausting. Things are constantly changing. When we think one thing is over, then another thing pops up. And this is just what's happening in our nation and in the world, not even looking at what's happening in our own personal lives.
Right.
So I think many of us are experiencing mental fatigue.
Yeah, no, I'm like that list was like comprehensive. So, that was a perfect, breakdown of like some really clear symptoms to look out for. And I just, echo that. That was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Lynn, do you have any thoughts?
That really, really broke things down. Really did. Just adding to the loss of motivation. I just wanted to just kind of add on that.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, just make sure you can hear me okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as loss of motivation, when you lose the desire to do things, that can really be a serious sign of mental fatigue. For some people, just getting out of bed alone can be mentally draining. And so losing the desire to engage in things that used to bring you joy, just going to work or poor self-care, all can be a part of that. And another sign of mental fatigue that was also mentioned is sleep deprivation. Poor sleep, that can impact your behavior. I don't know if people realize how much sleep is important. It can impact your behavior, it can impact your mood, it can impact your thinking and your concentration, all that was mentioned. And it can also lead to all sorts of physical. So the National Sleep Foundation, they recommend adults between the ages of 26 and 64 get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So that's definitely something that we need to keep in mind.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Lynn. That is awesome. I think going back to just rest being very productive. And I think also just take a moment to stop and actually assess how you're feeling. Like sometimes we can get so like into our routines, so into whatever we're doing that we forget to stop and ask ourselves, like, how am I feeling right now? Am I anxious? Am I feeling, whatever it is. But we also have a question from Melanie in the comment section. Okay, this says, I agree with limiting what you consume with your eyes and ears. Don't read or watch those things that are stressful and negative to you. Seek uplifting and encouraging news, books, and activities that can be involved with that will bring you joy and hopefulness. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yes, yes, yeah.
More.
Yeah. And I think she also identified how we can deal with mental fatigue. She's actually walked into that part of your question is how can we deal with mental fatigue? All those things are really good coping skills, coping mechanisms. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I don't know about you guys, but I am like a big believer in the idea that we were never supposed to have this much information all at once. Like, between like the news and social media and like we this is like more things than we could ever possibly want to know at once ever. And so I think it's also important to note that we are consuming a lot. And it's okay if you need a break. Like there is no badge of honor that you get at the end of it for suffering through news for 4 days straight, you know.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It is true.
Yeah.
Especially for us, and if you're consuming news also of people suffering that look like you, right?
Yes.
There's also like some pretty deep like psychological effects of seeing that over and over again. So if you find it, find yourself, go back into tuning into how you're feeling, and if it is too much at the moment, it is okay to take a break.
Right, and it can create secondary trauma. By viewing it, even though it's not happening to you, you're going to feel the effects of that experience and feel traumatized by it. So I think that's a very important aspect or understanding that watching this can also create secondary trauma for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we are jumping into our next question. Obviously, we have a lot of stigma around the mental health conversation, and that stigma can look different depending on the community that you come from. How your parents or whoever dealt with conversations around mental health. But I would love to hear from you guys. What is one mental health myth that you would like to get rid of and debunk today? What is something that you are just tired of hearing and you are ready to set the record straight?
I guess I can answer something that I encounter a lot is people will kind of call me and be like, their goal is to get rid of being anxious or to get rid of being sad or get rid of being angry. And so I think I would like to debunk that your emotions are bad or that difficult emotions are bad. Knowing that difficult emotions does not mean that there's something wrong with you. It's actually a healthy response to an abnormal situation. So if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling very sad, if you're feeling anxious, being able to sometimes not so much try to get rid of it and push it down even more, but sometimes being able to learn, like, how do I listen to that emotion or explore that emotion a little bit more, so that I can figure out what is that what is that responding to? What is that giving me feedback into something in my life that I need to adjust or change, or look into? And so, I think that's a big thing that a lot of people are kind of going through right now, where they're like, why do I feel this way? And it's like, because you're normal. That's why you feel that way. And so just challenging that idea that all emotions are bad and that you should always be happy all the time. That's not okay.
Wow. That's a great one. Yeah. Yeah. Did Lynn want to say anything?
Yeah, I can share. I love this question. I love it. I think one of the myths that I would like to get rid of is that getting help for your mental health is a sign of weakness. This is so far from the truth. If anything, the weakness is asking for help. The weakness in ask for help is not asking for it. If that makes sense. And so, in our families, in our communities, we are often told to suck up. I heard a client this last week, to suck it up, stop crying. And I just want to get across that you do not have to be strong all the time. And it is okay to cry. In fact, healing comes to tears. And a lot of times holding things in can lead to depression and anxiety, which are real and serious conditions that can lead to chronic health problems. So asking for help, that actually is a sign of strength. It's a sign of confidence and resourcefulness. So interestingly, some people don't realize that until someone like a counselor points that out to them. So surrounding yourself with an objective person, a non-judgmental person who can help you in various situations, that's just something that's invaluable for your mental health.
I love that. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'd like to debunk the myth about just pray about it. Oh my goodness. You know, there is a place for prayer. I'm not minimizing the impact of prayer. I know many of us are believers that might be listening to this. So I want to make sure I put that disclaimer out that I'm not minimizing the impact of prayer. However, I heard a therapist, her name is Dr. Anita Phillips, and she's a minister, a psychologist, African-American. She's a psychologist and a life coach. And she says, therapy is a strategy and prayer is the weapon. So she's helping us understand how we can join mental health and our faith together. We shouldn't separate them. They actually go together. And so I think when we just tell people to pray about it, I think we kind of miss the need to help them see that sometimes I need to do something else besides prayer. I may need to go see a therapist because my issues are not necessarily going to be addressed in a church setting. So with that being said, I think it's essential for us to understand, as first of all, as people of color and people who our faith has been the foundation of our culture, to also understand that sometimes we need to take it further because there's some things that we need to work out that maybe our pastor may not be able to help us with. That a mental health professional, and if you debunk the whole thing about medication, I got to add that in there too. Sometimes we got to take it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I'm weak because I have to take medication. It means that I just need some help so that I can process my life better. So adding that, the whole myth about just pray about it, and the myth about, hey, medications are bad for you. You know, and I also realize that there's some people that feel like the side effects may be greater. I understand that. And I totally respect anyone who says they don't want to take medications. There are other things that you can do, but I just wanted to make sure that it's also a healthy alternative if you find that you need to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, I love that.
I agree.
Yeah, I love that so much. There was something that really all of you guys touched on that I think is really, really special, and something that I am working on implementing into my own life. And that's just allowing myself to feel my emotions and allowing my emotions to serve the purpose that they're here to serve, right? Because I did a lot of avoiding, throughout the years. And the funny thing about avoidance is like it just doesn't go away. It still is there, and it will sometimes manifest in different ways if I don't address it. So, I saw someone say like solve your problems find the issue before the issue finds you.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. And so I am learning to allow my emotions to serve their purpose and feel them, because often whatever the root is, it's like a roadmap to whatever it is that I'm in need of,
100%.
So we're actually going to kick it to Dre, the drummer, for a little intermission. Back to the questions, and then we'll come back to this awesome discussion. And we're doing great. I'm loving the responses that we're getting. I'm loving what we're hitting on. And Dre, let's take it away.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Dre the Drummer here again. I got another guest with me that just dropped by to talk about mental health. So just introduce yourself. Tell everyone who you are.
Okay, I'm Carquisa Slay. I am the owner and operator of Motivated Evolutions Counseling and Consulting.
Ooh, we got a counselor, y'all, so she really gonna give us some information. So I just got 2 questions to ask you about mental health, so let's go ahead and dive into that real quick. First question, what are some ways to take care of your mental health?
Okay, some ways that I take care of my mental health. Self-care is so important. And so sometimes just taking the time out to stop and really ground yourself and embrace the things that are happening around you and really just stay in that space. Also taking time out when I need to in this busy world. We're constantly running in our roles and things like that. And so really just taking out the time that I need for myself and just getting outside of those roles for a little while.
Right. Man, that's sometimes getting outside those roles, that's really huge because we take on a lot of roles sometimes. We take on too much.
Yes,
too much.
Do.
Y'all hear that? Y'all take on too much.
You do.
All right. Here's our second question. What are some healthy ways that you can deal with stress?
Okay, so there are a lot of ways that we can deal with stress. Basically, whatever works for you is what I encourage people to do. Now, what works for me is exercise. I like listening to music. I like all things hair and makeup. So I'll get in the mirror for an hour or two and regroup and gain my thoughts. But that's how I decompress and really manage my stress. But really, whatever works for you. If it calms you down, then go for it.
You heard it right here. Whatever you find that calms you down, we all different sometimes, but we can teach each other some good points just like we learned today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dre the Drummer. Back to you.
Yay! Thank you, Dre. That is so awesome. I love it so much. So we're gonna, we talked about 2020, kind of like a heavy subject, how we're working through all these crazy life events. And so now we're going to lighten it up just a bit, and then ask you guys what your favorite self-care activity is. And it can be anything. We asked the audience to, you guys were there. We asked the audience to answer the question earlier, and they were like skating, journaling, prayer, guns, lots of fun answers. And so I'd love to ask you guys, what is your all-time favorite self-care activity that gets it done every time?
I don't know if this is actually self-care, but it's something I like to do. Dancing. I just like to dance to music. I enjoy the movement. I just enjoy dancing. That's something I like to do.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And listening, like along the lines of dancing, I think you can just get energy when you listen to, at least for me, when I listen to like old school music. Old school for me is like the 90s and the 2000s. That's my old school, I guess.
Yesterday.
So, yeah, that's my old school. So which is funny because we say it's yesterday, but that's a good 30 years ago.
It's a good show.
You're right.
It's a cool 30 years ago. But listening to that music, it just makes me feel good. It just makes me happy. It just brings back like nostalgia, a time of when things were easier, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I like that. That's fun.
I love that. Yeah. Lynn?
Well, all the activities that our listeners came up with, I just want to say are great. So I wanted to point out. As far as myself, I'm a Bible geek. I read and meditate on it every morning, and it really helps to set a tone for my day. I believe that solutions to a lot of the problems that we face are exemplified in that, and recognizing this helps me overcome difficult situations in my life, and also helps me to decrease anxiety and stress and peace, decrease anxiety and give me strength, and peace and fulfillment and hope in a world of uncertainty. I also love to crochet. I am huge on crocheting. If you have not tried it, please not get it. The cool thing about crocheting is that it begins with like these little loops that you create, which develop into like a foundation chain. And so that chain is the beginning of what eventually becomes something beautiful, a beautiful creation.
Yeah.
And that chain is also indicative of how just baby steps. We talk about that in counseling a lot, how important baby steps are. It's indicative of how baby steps can lead to accomplishment. And so completing something that you set your mind to really helps it can help to boost your confidence, your self-esteem, and spark creativity. And that's what crocheting does for me.
I love it. I love that. Sorry, were you going to say something, Sandra?
No, I was just saying that sounds so good. My mom used to crochet. She'd make blankets. So when she said that, that was a memory for me. It kind of popped up a memory for me about my mom.
Yeah, we've got some folks agreeing also in the comments. They also love to crochet. I love that perspective that you have on crocheting, because I crocheted as a child with my grandmother, but it felt more like something I had to do. So I didn't see it as like a kid and then like all the possibilities. I was like, okay, girl, like let's I'm gonna do it for you. But listen. So I love that perspective. I'm gonna approach it with that next time. And we also had Jana say that she loves dancing to Afrobeats and reggae, and I am with you, girl. That is my little. When I was like really stressed with work, that was like my morning playlist, and I also like to dance. I'm bad at it, so I only do it. But I do it. I do it. Yeah. And really, really, excited, relaxed, kind of ready to start the day with a little bit of movement. Yeah. So we are going to go to our last question, because we have folks who are listening. We have people who are tuning in, and we want to give you guys a sort of gem that you can take home with you. We're, first of all, just so thankful for you tuning in and listening. We are going to get through this together. We got through 2020 together, and we're ready to get through part 2, 2020 part 2 together too. And so the last question that we have is, what's one small step for the people who are listening? What is one small step that they can take right now to improve their mental health?
I think kind of it's something that I think we've kind of pushed on a couple times, is like the idea of just taking something off your list. I think that's something that you can do right now, in a way of really just kind of listing in some ways all the things that are, kind of overwhelming you, listing all the things that are, I would say, kind of causing that stress or contributing to that stress, and not looking at it as my stress is the problem, or responding with like a stress is a problem, and looking at it like these things that I'm kind of chaining myself to, which one can I let go of? And I think sometimes just kind of knowing that self-care is not always an activity. Like sometimes self-care really is making boundaries and just saying like, this is what I have the energy to do. And so I think just evaluating that right now, just taking time to kind of look at what are some of the things in my life that I can let go, and just picking one thing. And even if you can't let it go completely, seeing how you can kind of scale down or, limit, exposure or time with a particular stressor.
Wow. Yeah, I love that so much. I love that so much. Really quickly, I've been doing a lot of work with that too, about like codependency and things like that. And also figuring out, it's very easy, I think, sometimes to be like, hey, this external thing is the root of all my problems. This person is the root of all my problems. But really sort of shifting that and figuring out how you can create healthier boundaries for yourself, so that you are not overgiving, right? And that you also can sometimes just take some of that energy that you put out and give it to yourself, so that your own garden is also watered.
Yeah.
Right. I like that. Your own garden is also watered. That's good. I like that. I think we covered so many things. I guess I could just add this whole thing about scheduling some worry time. I think that with all the things that are happening, we tend to worry constantly. So what if we just set aside some time to worry, rather than, I know that sounds kind of weird. Why would I set aside some time to worry? Well, we're worrying anyway. So how about give ourselves a break from it and decide maybe I'll just set aside some time, maybe 15 minutes in a day, where I'm going to allow myself the privilege to worry about something. And so I can write it down, or I can pray about it, or I can put it in my God box, whatever it is I need to do. I can just take that time. That's a small step, whereby rather than having it going on constantly during the day, I know that maybe at 7:30 in the evening, I'm going to have that 15-minute time where I'm going to focus on the things that I'm worried about, and then I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to take it with me. I'm not going to pick it up again. And so a God box is something that's very important. And so some of the things that I share with my clients is that if you're worried about something, just write it out and put it in your God box. Leave it there. And then you can come back maybe a week or two later and see if it's been answered, if it's been worked out. And oftentimes that increases our faith as well when we've actually put it somewhere. That's something concrete that we can actually do. I know when I'm worried, if I take my 15 minutes, I'm going to write it out, I'm going to put it in my God box, and I can leave it there instead of carrying it around and worrying about it.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. Yeah. I think especially writing it down. I know for me, like sometimes when I leave things in my head, it increases my anxiety, right? It's just all these things. Oh, I have so much to worry about. But if I can really take some time and sit down and write down what each thing is, what is it that I'm actually worrying about, I can look at it, assess it, come back to it if I need to. But they feel less scary when you can see them, you know?
Yeah. And with the writing is also accessing both parts of our brain. So that helps you to get the emotions out and to cognitively release it as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Lynn?
I'm sorry. I'm just kind of taking it in because, you know, even as a counselor, that's good information for me. You know, I think counselors, we need to, I mean, we're humans and we just have moments ourselves, we have to remind ourselves of that. And just hearing that just really resonated with me, you know, about the God box and taking time, you know, setting a personal boundary to worry. I just love that. So I just wanted to add, in addition to that, I feel like our words can be immensely powerful, whether they are written or verbal. Our words can really break us down. They can either build us or break us down. And so positive affirmations are a small step we can take now to improve our mental health. And affirmations, for those who might be familiar with it, affirmations are positive phrases or statements that we can use to challenge negative or unhelpful thoughts. Just yesterday, I was listening to a 3-year-old on Instagram, and he repeated after his mom. He said, "I'm strong. I will succeed.
Yes.
I can do hard things. I am handsome. I am perfect the way I am. I am grateful, and I am enough."
Amen.
And
Amen.
even if you don't believe, even if you don't hear a 3-year-old say that, I mean, that's setting him up to just be just a powerhouse when he's an adult, you know, because he's feeling good about himself. But even if you don't believe these things about yourself, the idea is that once you begin to recite positive things about yourself, you begin to reframe or recondition the way you feel about yourself. So it's important to speak to yourself like someone you love and encourage, motivate, and uplift yourself with words. You can change the course of your life and overall health with words, and how you feel about yourself. That can really impact your behavior, it can impact your actions, and it can impact your decisions as well.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Those were such great answers.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
100%. Something Lynn said that just kind of reminded me of something of like the affirmations. Something because I know some people, sometimes they're just so deep down in where they are in their pit that they can't even kind of connect to the emotion, to those affirmations at all of, like you're worthy, you're lovable and all this type of stuff. And so sometimes I've told people to kind of just let yourself know that like, it's okay for me to be upset, knowing that sometimes the affirmation might not be like like a cheer. And sometimes the affirmation is just going to be like, you're good, you're good where you're at. You're worthy, altogether. And then sometimes being able to kind of say that, other people have the right to be angry, or it's okay if somebody's upset with me. And using that as an affirmation too, of just being able to kind of say like, if somebody's mad, that's okay. People are allowed to be mad, even if they're mad at me. If somebody's upset with me, that doesn't mean that I'm any less worthy. And I think sometimes just knowing that an affirmation can be anything. So I love Lynn's idea of affirmations, and just being able to know that the more you speak it, you're creating your reality. And so it's a beautiful thing to witness.
Yeah. I like that perspective also.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think also that affirmations are just really important right now, especially, right? We kind of talked about 2020, a lot of people having, job loss or halts and changes in their schedules. And I think that sometimes we forget how much of our identity we attach to what we're able to produce, right? And so if suddenly you're stopping, right, all of the tracks, I think that a lot of people are facing that sort of question, like, well, who am I without what I do? Where does my self-worth lie, or my identity lie outside of what I'm able to give and put out, right? And so I think focusing also a lot of your affirmations on things that you are regardless, right? Not attached to what your circumstance is, not attached to where you are in your life right now, or things that you may not have expected. Regardless of where you are because you are, right? Like you are worthy because you are here, because you are alive, you are allowed to just be, and that your worth and your identity is attached to just who you are, not what you can give, not what you can produce, that you already have that, and you can you're allowed to tell yourself that and truly believe that, because it's true. That is awesome. We also have a couple of questions from the audience that folks have kind of sent in. I know that they were supposed to comment the questions with a Q next to it to make it simple. I know we got one earlier. So I want to also give that some time. Does that sound good for y'all?
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. There was one. There we go. Okay. How can I help struggling families with depression due to violence in the home? That's a good question, especially since a lot of us are in the home much more, depending on the nature of our jobs and of school. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you so much, Sylvia. Anyone can kind of jump in if they'd like to.
Yeah, safety. I think before, we can't talk about emotions and happiness and all this kind of stuff if you're not safe. If you're not safe, you're not able to kind of reach those conversations. And so really, if you're working with individuals, if you're work with families, if you're a counselor, if you're a social worker, and you're dealing with people who are experiencing an increase in violence and domestic altercations and child abuse and all of those things, is really planning for safety, really helping people to find resources. I would say look into community resources. It depends on your area, so it's kind of hard to be like specifically like where you should go, but really just look in your area, look for child abuse hotlines and survivors in domestic abuse and things like that, and help them to kind of find some resources, whether it be like financial or hotels, food, things like that, so that they can know that they can kind of create some safety for themselves before they even start to get to the place of depression. Because if you're in an abusive situation, getting out, that's the hardest part. And so it's just helping them to kind of create a plan on how that's going to happen. And I think if you kind of start with the tangible safety of it, then then you can kind of move on to processing trauma and depression and those type of things. But they got to be physically safe first.
Yeah, that's so true. I agree with that. And I think when you're saying a safety plan, that can look like making sure that you have a bag with all of your clothes, or if your children, not all of your clothes, but something that you can take with you quickly and have that in a safe place so that you can actually place it in the car or place it at a neighbor's home. All of your important papers that you might need if you have to leave quickly. There may be someone that you can notify. Let them know that if you use a safe word, let them know that that means that I'm in trouble. Can you come help me? All of those are part of your safety plan. And we're talking about if there's like domestic violence, but we're not really clear what violence you may be speaking of. But violence is a heavy word. That means that you're not safe. When you're using the word violent, that alerts us as therapists that this person is not in a safe place. And so I think Michelle was just right on point. You have to get safe first before we deal with the emotional aspect.
Yeah. And I have a number. It's a national number. So, 800-799-SAFE. And they will help you to get connected to resources. They'll help you to create a plan, and they don't involve police right away, because involving police in and of itself, especially for people of color, Black individuals, that's its own traumatic story that can take up a whole 10 hours of conversation. But knowing that, calling the police is not always going to be the best option, but sometimes calling a hotline. So again, like 800-799-SAFE, which is 7233. So 800-799-7233, and giving that to individuals who are experiencing, feeling unsafe in their home. So that way that they can get connected to resources in the area that they're living in that can help them. Usually it's about getting housing and getting them financially disconnected from whoever is causing the abuse. And I think that could be a good resource for people.
Awesome. That's good. Good.
Yeah, and we've also dropped that number, if you guys can see it, 800-799-SAFE. Just in case you guys missed that. So thank you very much for that. That is amazing information and a very valuable resource. Lynn?
Wow. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Lynn, do you have any an answer?
Wow.
She shares so many.
While we're waiting for Lynn, I just wanted to come back on. We have had such a great time hanging out. I just wanted to jump back into the conversation here with everybody. Lynn had, we're so glad that she was able to stay with us, even though she's on the road, because it has been very beneficial for us to hear what she had to share on the topics. I want to see you in the chat. I mean, I know that you're still there to talk to us, to let the panel know. Are you resonating with this stuff? I mean, I was taking notes. There's so many gems, George. I mean, in my Let's Get Live crew, we have this term called shirtable. Right, so there's several shirtable moments that happen today. I'm gonna have to call up a couple of you guys and be like, "Hey, can I use that? Because I'm gonna put that on a shirt, and that you might see that in my merch store." But yeah, this is a phenomenal conversation, and this is a great space that 57 Northampton has created. I just want to take a moment. I know Camila wants to do the same, just to thank the panel, to thank Michelle, to thank Sandra, to thank Lynn, and of course to Camila for hosting and moderating the discussion. This has just been phenomenal. I just wanted to take a moment as well, just to give you guys a chance to say a final word before we wrap things up. And I don't know if Lynn, we heard some static coming from your mic, so we're going to unmute you to see if you're there, if you can come on and say something. But if not, then we'll just start with Camila, and we'll make our way around the digital room. Just want to get some final words from you in terms of this conversation on mental health, and then we will close things out.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's gonna work.
I'm gonna mute her. I'm muting her myself. Go ahead, Camila.
Yeah, that's okay. Honestly, Lynn, truly, I'm so glad she was able to still call in because she dropped so many great gems, and things that I wrote down myself, like, ooh, girl, that's good. But yeah, I am again just very, very thankful to have done this with you guys. I think that we had a lot of really great conversation, talked about a lot of tough things, right? And how we can cope with them. And my final words really are just thank you. Thank you to everybody who participated in the panel, Kirk, Dre, 57 Northampton, the audience, everybody. And I hope that you gained something from this. And maybe we'll share also if you are, listening.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a privilege and a joy to be on the panel. You guys did a great job. I just loved how you worked it out. That opening was like, wow. My introduction was really great. And then what was the young man's name that was doing the
Dre the drummer?
Yeah, Dre the drummer. That was really nice. Very nice to have all those people come on and just talk. So this has really been great. And thank you so much for allowing me to participate.
Excellent.
Yeah, same thing. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I love connecting with people. And I guess the thing I would just leave off is just saying that like therapists are people too. We're going through the same thing that everybody else is going through. And so just knowing that it's not about judgment. And so seeking help, I think Lynn said like seeking help is not a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
And so just remembering that seeking help is not a sign of weakness, and we're not here to judge you. We'll get you kind of back in your strength and
there you go,
kind of connected again.
That is so good. This has been wildly beneficial. I hope that for those that have hung with us for the entire hour, I know we went over a little, but that's okay. You can do that when it's good. But I hope that you really got value from everything that was shared. I hope that you will take a look at 57 Northampton and the space that they're creating on this platform, both on Facebook and YouTube, different resources and tools and discussions that they're creating around mental health and awareness that they're trying to really shine a floodlight on, which is so great, so cool. If you haven't already liked the page, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, if you haven't already checked out the website, it's right on the bottom of the screen, right underneath my name, 57northampton.com. Check them out. This is an organization whose sole purpose is mental health. And so one of the things that we want to make sure you have an opportunity to do is to partner with this organization. And partnering can take many different, shapes and sizes. You have a panel of people that were just on here just now, and they were able to partner by sharing their expertise and their experience with everyone today. And you can partner by doing several things. Here's one. You can share this video. When we go offline today, this whole video is going to be right here on Facebook. It's going to be right here on YouTube. You can share this video. I know if you're like me, you've had conversations with friends, with colleagues who are going through it. And you can say, you know what, there was a discussion on 57 Northampton's platform that you really should take a second to go and look at. That's why we want to make it short. We want to keep it to an hour, make it bite-sized, because we wanted it to be accessible. We wanted people to get at it. And so, take that, partner with us in that way as well, sharing the video and allowing people to benefit from the knowledge that was shared here today. But you can also partner financially. And we have a friend who's going to say a few words on behalf of 57 Northampton right now, just to encourage you to join and partner with this great organization.
Hey, what's up? It's Roy Wood Jr. from The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. Just giving a quick shout out to 57 Northampton and everything that they are doing to bring about mental health awareness. Please donate. Please give money. You have no idea how much this would help someone in need, and a little bit of help goes a long way. And, when we talk about the importance of therapy and we talk about the importance of mental health, I think it's something that should be at the forefront of everybody's lips. So thank you to 57 North. I'm gonna call y'all 57 North. Thank you so much to 57 North for everything that you all do.
That's so cool. That's so cool. He gave them a new name, 57 North. Y'all gonna have to say that from now on, man. But it's so cool. I mean, listen, this is not a one of the reasons why I really love that message from Roy Wood Jr. is that as has been shared by the panel, this is not a conversation and a thing that is just for a certain class of people. This affects literally everyone. And so awareness around this topic is going to be so critical and so great for us to be able 57 North. I see we are officially 57 North now with a F, right? But yeah, this is such a great message to get out there and a great concept to have awareness around. And so you want to be able to partner with them. You want to check out 57northampton.com. And again, I want to say my personal thanks to my co-host, Dre the Drummer, on location, talking to folks, very active. You can see him. You can check him out as well. His social media handles and stuff will be in the description of the video. I want to say a word of thanks to the entire panel for all the nuggets of wisdom that they have been putting out. Is just amazing that we could have this 1 hour discussion and get that much value from it. And then I want to say a word of thanks to the audience. Listen, if you weren't here, it would not have made a difference. There was no point of us actually having this meeting today, but we are excited that you were able to join with us and hang in there for the full hour and 26, 27 minutes now. But we're going to close it out right here. And we're gonna throw up our outro music, but I just want to say on behalf of myself, Kirk Nugent, the Geek Speaker Preacher, thank you so much for allowing me to be your host, and we will see you in the next discussion. Later.